Hey, what's going on, everybody? I want to put a small disclaimer on this video before we start up. Before we did this review, I had attended a birthday party stupidly and had been on the more tipsy side by the time we were able to start doing this review. But I ended up asking Jose a lot of, well, I think were great questions prior, and we got into a lot of the things I think a lot of the Sopranos fans are going to want to know. I'm very excited to bring this to you, and hopefully Jose gave really good insight, and I apologize for my behavior. So here we go.
It was definitely, a pretty good experience. I enjoyed the movie a lot. It was good, knowing that it was in New Jersey, that's where I'm from. So
Right.
it was definitely cool. I related to a lot of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, but one thing I know about you is that you wanted this movie to be great. And for
Yeah.
you, it wasn't good. And granted, having not seen The Sopranos, you're saying it's not good, right? Or it's not great, but it's good.
So, and this is one reason why
Sure.
I didn't think it was great. Pacing in this
Really?
movie wasn't the
A little
best.
slow, huh? For you?
Yeah, there was some scenes, yes, that were
Yeah.
slow that I honestly feel like didn't really need to be in the movie. But who am I to say? I'm not a director. I don't know how
Right.
how it goes. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. One reason why I didn't think it was great is there's some pacing issues in the movie. But overall, as a film, like I've said, comedic, pretty funny. There's some parts in there that are funny and dark, pretty dark. Because it's the Italian mafia. It's Tony Soprano trying to grow up with a family of Italian mafia people who just rule the
Absolutely.
world. And I will say this too: this movie is a lot kind of like Black Lives Matter movement type. You'll see
Really?
that. You'll see it a lot in this movie. Yes.
So to me, that's kind of making up for what The Sopranos was going for, because a lot of The Sopranos is very opposite of that. There's a lot of stuff in The Sopranos that a lot of people say you can't get away with today. Do you think that this was maybe even like you won't get in trouble for this? Because I think that a lot of Sopranos will agree with me that Sopranos isn't necessarily politically correct. Do you think it went maybe a little too politically correct for what it was going for?
Well, I will say too that in this movie, obviously, because it's rated R, there's a lot of like nudity and foul language and all that other stuff.
Nice.
There is, the black people in this movie do say the N word a bit.
Okay.
And what could be problematic with this movie is that maybe not because of when it was set, but the white people also said, a couple of them said the N word in this movie too. Which some people might try to take it nowadays as bad, but I don't, because just the time that this movie was set in, it was said back in the day. So
So
but
you're
yeah.
somebody who watched 1/50th of Goodfellas, right? Like we're fair to say
We're
that.
we're 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 like halfway into the movie, aren't we?
Yeah, you and I were trying to watch that one together because I know you hadn't seen it. How would you compare this to Goodfellas? Because Goodfellas is to me is the greatest mob movie of all time.
Oh yeah, no, Goodfellas so far from what I've seen is it's similar in a way, but definitely better. There's no like white people saying the N word in Goodfellas. I don't believe. So
Oh, I see your thing.
so there's also no black people, if I'm not mistaken, in Goodfellas. So it's a different kind of Italian mafia movie to in comparison to Goodfellas.
Right,
Um,
right. I understand exactly what you're saying. So I have questions that are maybe more on the spoiler side for Sopranos fans. So I'm going to put the spoiler warning slightly up right now, just slightly. But I won't ask you any like deep spoiler questions at the same time, if you understand what I'm saying
yeah,
here.
yeah, I
So,
got you.
um, I know a lot of this movie is going to be based around Christopher Maltasanti's father. And is Christopher Maltasanti's father, I believe, who is Dicky Maltasanti, is he mentioned quite a bit in this film.
He's actually the main dude in this movie.
Wow,
For
Dicky
for
Maltasanti?
for a Well, actually, yeah, no, he's the main character for most of this movie. Yeah, he wasn't the main guy for probably the beginning 10 minutes of the movie or so, and then he becomes the main dude in this movie.
Okay, because for Sopranos fans, that's a big deal. So, like, the fact that Dicky Moltisanti is a big deal in this movie is a big deal too.
And I don't know if I don't know
Sopranos
if I should be
fans.
I don't know if I should be saying this, but
Like I
again,
said, we're kind of
a, li-
in
a
slight
little
spoiler
spoiler. Yeah,
territories right now. So, slight spoiler
Dicky
territory.
Dicky, however you pronounce his last name, I forget. Dicky
Dicky
Montesani.
Moltisanti, yeah.
Tony Soprano basically sees him as a father, more of a father,
Wow.
more of a father and role model than his actual father in this movie.
Holy fuck, dude. That's a big deal to Sopranos fans, and you'll know why if you've seen it. But
I'm going to watch it now, but yeah, that's what happens in this movie. So, and he takes a lot of the stuff he does in this movie he takes from Dicky, obviously because of the lifestyle that Dicky lives. The Italian mafia being like head, getting what he needs the way he does. So Tony Soprano in this movie takes a lot from Dicky,
that was
and
partially given away in the trailer, the Dicky
that is yeah,
Moltisanti
yeah,
relationship. So it's not an entire spoiler at
right,
this
yeah.
point, but the Dicky Moltisanti relationship, Dicky Moltisanti, right? They all talk like that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
because they're Italian. They talk like that. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Oh, by the way, the cast in this movie was really good too. You have the guy who plays Punisher. Um, you have I can't remember. There's a couple other in there too that I recognize. It was a pretty good cast. I enjoyed it a lot.
yeah, but well, here's one of the big questions that I would have for you is the fact that Michael Gandolfini plays Tony Soprano in this movie, and obviously his late father in real life, James Gandolfini, played Tony Soprano in the
Right.
Soprano series. Now, while not having so much context to the actual Tony Soprano, other than the clips that I've shown you, do you think Michael Gandolfini did a good job in this movie with the material?
Not the whole film,
Wow.
but for the most part. You got to understand too. Like this movie is set when
I want to
Tony.
hear your honest opinion as a casual
So
viewer. So, yeah.
so obviously this movie is about young Tony Soprano. So he's basically in the starting of this film, he's a kid. And in the end of the film, you don't really see him as a grown adult like Michael or Dicky age. You don't see him like that old
Of
at
course
the
not. Yeah.
at the end of this film. So the beginning, like maybe the first half of the movie, you don't really see much of him because he's still a kid. But then the last half, you see him take on more of a leadership Italian mafia type role,
Okay.
which I enjoyed a lot.
But that builds into Sopranos.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah.
What about his performance did you not like?
In the beginning part when he was more of like a teenager, I guess I think he was in like high school. In the second half of the film, um, he was kind of shy, not really talked much. In the probably like the first half of the second half of the film, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Um, but as he got, I guess, a little well, the more time he spent with Dicky when he was in the high school years, he learned from Dicky how to be more assertive of a leader, talk more, assert dominance, and
Mm.
take that like Italian mafia type leadership role and like get what he wants the way that he wants. So
So, okay.
that's yeah, so that like last probably like 45 minutes of the film, that's when he really like shined in this movie.
Okay. But you thought he did so by the time he evolved into the mobster type, you think he did a good job with that stuff, is what you're
Yeah,
saying. Okay.
that's when you really saw the Tony Soprano Italian mafia side of him
Right.
start.
Right. So I'm trying to ask for Sopranos fans, mobster movie fans, because I think every time I always think about Goodfellas, or not Goodfellas, but Godfather, because
Mm-hmm.
you have an Al Pacino
Great
in that
film.
movie. Yeah, right. So you have Al Pacino in that movie, who, one of the famous lines from the first Godfather movie is Al Pacino telling his girlfriend at the time, Kate, That's my family, Kate. That's not me," when he's talking about the violence of his family. But then by the end of that movie, he's like mob boss. Do you think that Michael
That's
Gandolfini maybe gave a similar performance, or did he not execute that as well as an Al Pacino, which wouldn't be
I mean,
insulting because Al Pacino's
I
Al
was I
Pacino?
was literally about to say that like obviously it's not going to be Al Pacino level,
Sure.
but it's pretty dead on. He like
Great.
he didn't try to relate what he was doing at first to his family, but then as he evolved, he definitely showed more that it was, yeah, this is my family. This is how my family rolls. So this is how I want to roll, and this is how I'm
Oh
gonna roll.
wow. Okay. So interesting because one of
But
the
then again, so again, it's not when he says family, he means Dickie, not his actual father. Because
right
he
on.
literally like he looked up to Dickie so much in this film. Like honestly,
That's incredible to me because Dicky Moltisanti, which I'll get into here in a bit, is a big part of what makes Sopranos Sopranos, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Because I want to get into some slight heavier spoiler outside of this, but so still kind of in slight spoiler territory. I'm gonna name some characters in Sopranos, and you confirm or deny whether they are mentioned or referenced in this movie. Okay, can you do that for me?
of course,
Okay. So one character is Silvio Dante. Is he referenced or mentioned in this movie?
no.
Okay. How about
That I can remember off the top of my head. No.
fair enough. That's all I want from you. Paulie Walnuts. Is Paulie Walnuts mentioned in this movie? Or referenced in this movie?
If I remember correctly, I think he was mentioned once.
Okay, so Paulie Walnuts, okay. Fair enough. Okay, so one of the sort of performances that I think personally could be an Oscar worthy performance if done right, and I thought this since I saw the trailer and saw the show, is the character of Livia Soprano, who's played by the great Vera Farmiga, Tony Soprano's mother. How is Vera Farmiga as Tony Soprano's mother in this movie? Because I always thought that could be an Oscar worthy performance.
This is gonna sound very disappointing for you,
It's
but you
okay, man. I want the honest truth because I want a real good review for me.
just like in Evan Hansen, the mom of Evan Hansen, she was wasted.
Wow.
Tony Soprano's mom was honestly, you really didn't see much of Tony
Dude, that
Soprano's mom.
stinks because, like, if
Dude, so
you. Yeah,
so
go ahead.
she was in this movie. Obviously, she was married to the guy who
Uh,
played the Punisher.
okay, so Berthal. Okay, that was the next thing I was going to ask you, so I'm glad you asked that. So John Berthal is Tony Soprano's father.
Soprano's father. Yes,
Okay,
he is
great.
Francis Soprano. Francis Soprano, I think it is
Yeah, I think
something
you're
like.
right. I think you're
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she's married to him, and
Wow, man.
you don't really see much of her in this movie. And I honestly wanted to see more of Tony Soprano's mom. You see a lot more of her towards the end of the film, like maybe the last 20 to 30 minutes.
Wow.
If even that really like probably the last like 30 minutes. So like throughout really the entire film, you really don't see much of her.
I was looking forward to her playing that role because
And I mean, and what I mean by that is like she is in, if not all, most of the scenes, but she doesn't really do much in them.
I see.
It's just
Because,
so this is a slight spoiler, but
yeah, sure.
most of the movie between um the guy, I can't remember his name, the guy who plays the Punisher. I'll just
John
say
Berthal. John Berthal.
I'll just say Francis Soprano and his wife. It's just mainly arguments between the two of them, in when she's
Well,
involved.
granted, that is a lot of the backstory set up for them in the Sopranos show.
Mm.
So granted,
Well then
that's true.
maybe you'll like it then. I don't know, because like
Maybe,
I
but
don't know. I guess I just expected more because you see more of Dickie's wives really than you see of Tony Soprano's mom.
that's interesting because I actually wanted to see more of Livia Soprano.
Yeah, you don't you see more of Dickie's wives than you do Tony
Because,
Soprano's
well,
mom.
I'll tell you exactly why. Because, like, to me, what they set up about Livia, who's played by Vera Farmiga, who I think is a phenomenal actress anyway, is that she's a fucking nut, dude. And I wanted to see Vera Farmiga play that in the movie. So you're saying that you don't think that they quite got there with her, and they could have done more.
I mean, again, I don't know the show, but in my
Sure.
personal opinion, yeah, I feel like yeah, they could, because like I said, Dickie's wives, of course I'm saying wives, um, got more in the, well, I guess his first wife didn't get much in, she was rarely really in the film. I think she was in the first like 20 minutes and that was like it. But you see more of his second wife than you do Tony Soprano's mom, which is surprising because she is in the entire film.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I'll get into some more slight spoiler territory for everybody out there watching this. If you haven't seen Sopranos, I definitely recommend shutting this off now. Um,
I just saw that. Sorry, this is slightly off topic, but I just saw that Vera Farmiga is going to be in the Hawkeye show.
she's a great freaking actress, and I'm
And I
I'm
think
happy for her.
the only two movies I've seen her in are, besides obviously this one that I just saw, is the Godzilla King of the Monsters and the Commuter. Those are the only two movies I've seen
Well,
her in.
yeah, Bates Motel is absolutely a show you have to see her in, and
I
she's
I
great in the
my yeah
Conjuring movies as well.
you know I don't like scary movies, so I ain't watching The Conjurings. But my sister actually watched Bates Motel and she absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and Vera Farmiga is part of why that show's so great. So I was really looking forward to
I
her
mean, you might be
seeing her
disappointed.
playing the wacko mom, a little bit more.
I mean, she does play a pretty wacko mom, but I think again it's mainly because of um, Francis Soprano, the way that he is towards her.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
but I mean, like I said, you might be disappointed, you might not with her in this movie, but for me, I just
true.
feel like
Yeah.
they could have done more with her.
All right, so I don't want to give it away. There is a big twist in the first season of Sopranos with
Oh, there's a lot
Livy.
of twists. There's a lot of twists in this movie that I did not expect. By the
That's
way,
good. That's good. That's good.
putting it out there.
That's good though. So my question would be, so here's the thing with Dicky
Oh,
Maltasante. I know I hit the wrong screen. Dicky Maltasante is the okay. So Christopher Maltasante is Tony Soprano's nephew in The Sopranos. So my question is, what is so appealing about Dicky Maltasante in this movie? Having never seen the show.
just the pure badass persona that he puts into this movie, the
All
assertive
right.
Italian mafia. I'm a boss. I will get what I want however I want. I'll murder whoever I need to who's against me or does anything to get in the way of my family or my business.
All right.
And the role model um that he is to Tony Soprano in this movie too
Right.
is
Right.
incredible.
So
He honestly he was probably my favorite part of this movie. He
I
honestly
got
to
you.
me is him to me is what made this movie. Honestly,
So this might be heavy spoiler for a lot of you, but I want to tell Jose about this so he understands where I'm coming from about Dicky Maltasante. So in the show, Dicky Maltasante was set up by a police officer, killed by a police officer, and Tony Soprano gives permission to Christopher Maltasante to kill that police officer who killed Dicky Maltasante.
are you
So
about to ask me? Are you about to ask me how he died in this movie?
well, I'm just asking you if that's touched on at all for heavy spoiler purposes.
I will say he was killed,
Okay.
but not by a cop. And
Wow.
and when you watch this movie, like that scene blew my mind. The person who, I mean, I kind of expected it because you'll see through the movie, like the one who did it. Well, not, he didn't do it. He ordered someone to do it for him. But when you find out the person who ordered to kill Dickie in this movie, you'll be surprised because it's not a cop. That's all I'll say.
Wow. Well, I'll say this though. After seeing this show, that could make sense, but I have to see how it's done. So I'll just say that. It could make sense. I'll have to see how it's done. That's like a very vague terminology for it, but it could make sense that he
It
wasn't
could, yeah,
killed by a cop,
a cop.
quote
It
unquote.
might have just, it might have been, they might have said that it was a cop in the show, but in the movie,
Well, when you see the show, you'll see the precedents that I'm kind of setting for this. But Tony Soprano tells Christopher Moltisanti, that's a cop that killed your father, and you have permission to kill him now because this is his retirement party. So I'm interested in seeing the actual side of
so
that.
so
Don't tell me
Leslie.
too high spoilers, but
I
yeah.
was gonna say Leslie Odom Jr., who plays in this movie.
I forgot Leslie Odom was in this. That's great,
Yeah,
though. I love Leslie Odom.
he plays Harold, who I don't want to say. I don't want to say much about the movie.
Dude, please don't spoil this too much for me other than what I'm asking you.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying. I just because there's
I
because you know how
know it's difficult too because I know the show
there's
so well. Yeah.
there's because in this movie it's conflict between whites and blacks. So all I'll say is that he plays the main black guy in this movie, and he's incredible in it too. Honestly, I'll say
Well,
that right
he's a
now.
great actor otherwise. Yeah. So I imagine
He
so.
played, yeah, he was amazing in this movie, man. I'll
Yeah.
I'll just say that he's him and Dickie really made the movie great.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. One of the things that's kind of hinted toward in Sopranos is the fact that Tony Soprano's wife Carmela has only ever been with Tony Soprano. You could spoil this for me, that's fine. Is Carmela referenced or seen in this film at all?
Carmela, I'm trying to remember who played his wife in this movie.
Tony Soprano had a wife in the movie?
Oh no, 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 sorry, he didn't. No, no,
I'm sorry.
and it
So
was
did he have a love interest?
nope.
Really? Okay, so Carmela he met after the fact. Okay,
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say because I mean he had a sister, but
wait,
no.
wait. That was gonna be my next question. Is Janice referenced or mentioned at all in this
She
movie?
is in this movie.
Yes, Janice. Hell yeah, dude. You gotta, in my opinion. I'm sorry for people who are Sopranos fans, but like I said, spoiler warning up top a little bit. Janice to me is an integral part of Sopranos, so you do see Janice in this film.
You do see her, but she's barely in this film, really.
And that I think that's perfectly fine. Is there another sister that's mentioned in this film by chance of Tony's?
He has a little sister.
Yes, dude, I'm excited a little bit
So
now.
yeah, so it's Tony Soprano, Janice Soprano, and then a very a much younger, like way little, like not baby, but like almost baby sister.
Well, I'll say this to Jose here is that you're going to be very excited about what happens to Janice in the show when you see it. So.
Ooh, I'm actually like talking with you about this right now. I'm actually super excited for the show, especially having watched this movie, which was basically like an introduction to the show for me. I'm super excited, man. I can't wait.
So one of the big parts of Sopranos is the Aprile family. So you have Jackie Aprile and Richie Aprile. Are either of those referenced or seen in the film?
Oh wait, you mentioned Polly Walnut, right?
Well, wait a second. Answer my
No, because
initial
because
question.
because I had just remembered. Wait, who? What were the names again?
Well, real quick, and then we'll talk about Polly Walnuts, who's one of my favorite characters.
No, so yeah, so what were the two names you just said?
So the Aprile family is massive in the Sopranos show. So is Richie
Real.
Aprile or Jackie Aprile mentioned in the show at all? They should be, but
You mean
I'm
in the
curious.
movie?
In the movie, I'm
Um,
sorry.
they are neither mentioned nor in the film.
Really, because they are a big influence on Tony's kind of lifestyle in the show. So that's
Maybe that
interesting.
didn't happen until after the movie.
Okay, so let me ask you this too, and then we'll get to the next thing you were going to say about Polly Walnuts, who's one of my favorite characters in the show. So before we get to that, is Junior Soprano a part of this movie?
He's in the film.
Uncle June is in the movie,
Yup.
and he call him Uncle June?
Who? Tony Soprano?
Correct.
Uh, no, actually, in this film, he rarely talks to him in this film.
But he is in the movie. Junior
But,
Soprano is
but
in the
Junior
movie.
Soprano is in the movie. Yes.
Fair. I think that's important to have in the movie, so that excites me quite a bit. Let me ask you this.
Oh wait, I was gonna get to the Polly Walnut stuff.
Oh, let's talk about Polly Wallace, and I'll ask you my next question.
Because you also said Silvio Dante, right?
Yes.
I totally forgot. They're both in the film.
Thank God. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better because I think that they're important to have in the film.
Silvio Dante is played by John Magaro,
Okay.
and Polly Walnut is played by Billy Magnuson.
I don't know any of those actors, but as long as they're in the film,
Yeah,
I think
they're
that's
both.
important
Yeah,
to me. Okay.
they were both in it. Yeah, they're both.
So
in
now
it.
you know who they are. So they are
Well, yeah, I was gonna say,
integral
I
parts.
I forgot that they're in the film. I remember them in the film now. Their names are never really mentioned in the film, so I couldn't remember.
No, it's
But
fair.
now,
I
but
think
now that I looked at the cast and I saw that they were both in it. So, and I remember now. Yeah.
it's fair because I think that they're both integral parts to Tony Soprano's. Well, that's the next question I'll ask you: is are they important parts to how Tony Soprano evolves into being a mob boss?
Maybe in the show more because, like I said, in this film, it's literally all Dickie.
very rare. So it's mostly Dicky
No,
Maltasante.
it is all Dicky for Tony
Wow.
Soprano. In
Okay.
this film, it's in this film. I'm telling you, he literally sees him as his father and role model in this film, even though he has a real father.
See, that makes me feel a little bit good though, because that is slightly consistent with the show, at least. Because obviously Dicky Maltasante in the show, as you'll see, played a big part in Tony Soprano's life. So
I
yeah.
was gonna say, so it's weird that they have Dicky's death in the movie and in the show. That's kind of weird.
Well, they don't have his death, but he mentions it.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes more sense to
No,
me.
no, no.
Okay.
They don't show Dicky die, but it's mentioned. Let's just
Okay,
put
well,
that.
so yeah, his death is in the movie. So when you see a bride,
But his death is very vague in the show, so I'm curious about
well, I
that.
mean,
But we'll
it's what
see.
do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by vague?
So like I said, Christopher Maltasante, who is Dicky Maltasante's son, is Tony's nephew in the show,
Oh,
and Tony
sorry, he's in the movie too.
Christopher
Yeah, you said Dickie's son.
Christopher's in the show in the movie.
You said Dickie's son, right?
Christopher, right?
Yes, he's in it. Yes, for like this
Whoa!
for like the smallest bit though. He's like in the last. I want to say probably like 30 minutes of the movie.
Well, I was gonna ask you. Maybe they show a young Christopher in
They
this movie.
actually no. He's about this. He's probably a little bit younger than Tony in the film.
Exactly. So that actually makes a lot of sense now. So I'm excited to see Dicky Maltasante's
and
death
and
and his
and I was
journey.
just
And
and Tony and Christopher form a very strong bond in this film, and you'll
see,
see
that's
that.
good. That's what I want. That's what I want because if you watch the show, you'll know what that means to it. Um, yeah, man, that's really great stuff, dude. I'm
Because
very excited
I
to hear
didn't
that.
you said Christopher Maltasani and I was like, who's that? And then you said Dickie's son. I was like, oh wait, he was in
It
the
should
film.
be Dicky's son. If you're going to stay consistent, that should be Dicky's son.
No, it is. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
amazing. That actually excites me quite a bit. So I appreciate you saying that.
I'm getting you more and more excited for this film.
Little bit, dude. I like I said, this is like a Star Wars to me, where I'm going to watch it twice at least. So I am quite a bit excited about this, in a lot of ways. So yeah, you said Janice has mentioned
Well,
Tony's.
she's in it.
She's in it at least, and Tony's little sister is also in the show.
Yes,
So
but you don't.
that's
Again, you don't really get much of her in it.
fair enough, and I appreciate that on a big level, dude. So that's really cool. There's a reason for that, I feel. So a lot of this premise is based on Dicky Maltasante. He's gonna inspire Tony Soprano to become the mobster, right? Like that's kind of where we're going. Is what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, obviously up until his death.
Of course, and like I'm excited to see that.
Which that's what I'm saying is that I feel like where they ended the movie was perfect because I feel like it obviously explains it more in the show of all right, cool. He has seen this, not cool, but he has seen the Dickie die, who he saw as a father and role model. And he's like, all right, cool. Now I'm gonna follow in his footsteps and become this badass Italian mafia mobster.
Sure, and I can see that, and like again, I don't want any more details than that, so just stick with that, okay?
Yep, of course. Yep, we'll stick with that.
And that's perfectly fine and consistent with the show and all of that. Dude, I'm very excited about this movie. I appreciate you going to watch it.
Oh,
Um,
and I was gonna say too, is you see a bit of Dickie's father in this film.
okay, so one of the things that we know is Ray Liotta, who led the Goodfellas film, is also in this movie, and we
Yeah,
see
He's Dickie's father.
he's Dickie's father. Okay, that was going to be my next question: is who the fuck is Ray Liotta in this movie?
Yeah,
Because
in the movie he's called Hollywood Dickie.
wow,
Who
okay, that's
who
interesting.
is yeah Dickie's father.
Okay, so you said Junior Soprano doesn't play much of a part in this movie. All right,
No, actually he plays a not like
Junior does.
yeah, he doesn't play like a huge role in this movie, but he's you'll I mean, I don't want to obviously I don't want to spoil too much, but
Sure.
he does play pretty cool parts in this film, especially in a scene that I obviously don't want to say anything about, but you'll see when you watch the movie. Um,
Exactly. And so my
Obviously
next
he's not in it, you know, he's not as integral as like Dicky and like other people like that, but
right.
he the parts he plays are pretty cool.
So my personal like final question for personal reasons about this movie is this. So in the
And then
trailers,
we can get to the spoiler heavy questions after this, but yeah.
well, I don't know, man. I really want to be surprised by this. Okay, so
And that's why I don't want to say too much because I'm
exactly.
actually super excited for you to watch this movie.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm so stoked. But my
All right,
question, my biggest question about this movie is this.
shoot.
So in the show, they make a huge point about Tony Soprano being Anthony Soprano. But every time I see the trailer, the first name I hear is Antonio Soprano. So
So,
how does that work? Is there an explanation for that?
what of why he's called Antonio in the movie?
Instead of Anthony, because that's a big point in the show is he's Anthony. It's not Antonio. Tony Soprano's name is Anthony in the show. So what do you got on that? Because in the trailers, every time it bothers me, I hear Antonio.
um, it's Dicky. Dicky's the one that gave him that name.
So,
Dicky's the one that calls him Antonio.
but his birth name is Anthony, right? Is that did they stay consistent on that?
They don't mention what his actual
Damn
first
it!
name was.
Damn it!
They just kind of were like, all right, cool, yeah. Dicky calls him Antonio. We're gonna call him Antonio in this movie. Although his name isn't really said that often in the movie.
Well, that kind of bugs me though, because everybody who's a Sopranos fan out there, you hear Edie Falco saying Anthony. Everybody knows that name for Tony Soprano as the full name, so it kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you that his name is Antonio in the movie instead.
Oh, I mean, yeah, fair enough.
So that's an inconsistency, and what really bothers me is the fact that David Chase wrote this movie, who created the show, and the fact that he kind of went against that kind of bothers me a little bit.
I can see, you know,
Yeah,
from the standpoint of someone who's seen the show, I can see where that bothers you.
yeah, man. But you're saying for the amount of Goodfellas that you've actually seen, you think Goodfellas is the better film?
That's the thing too, is that it's two completely different Italian mafia type movies.
Yeah,
But I guess pacing wise, and you know, well, it's mainly just pacing wise. The Goodfellas is better when it comes to pacing for sure. Because like I said,
right.
there's some pacing issues with this movie, but I mean, overall as a film, I actually enjoyed it a nice bit. It was definitely, you know, there was some what the fuck moments in there and stuff like that, and some comedy and all
Good,
that. So
good.
I mean, I enjoyed it overall as a film. Yeah, it was good.
Well, actually, that was going to be my final question. Is I think that, like, and you know this from Goodfellas, every good mob film needs some really good humor. Do you think that this executed that really well?
Oh my goodness, yes. But the whole like me and the whole theater, in the parts that were funny, we were all just dying laughing.
Oh, good deal, man. Because, like, I think about Sopranos, and even if it's dark humor, it needs to be there. Because I think about Sopranos, for
Oh,
example.
there's all kinds of humor in this movie, like actual humor, dark humor.
Good deal.
It's got it all.
Because I think about Sopranos in general, and you know the line very well from me showing you the clip, is the look at all those fucking Indians, right? Like you have that line, but afterward, Ralphie ends up killing a whore, like right after that, a whore, so to speak, as they call her in the show, bashing her head right into a bridge. So do they have things like that where it's like it's humor, but it's dark humor?
Um, some, yeah, not like a lot, but there's definitely, you know, some dark humor in this. Yes,
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I appreciate your time with this.
of course, of course. I
Um,
enjoyed this a lot. It was a lot of fun, you know, talking about this as non-spoiler as we could possibly be.
yeah. The last question I'll ask you because we have to grade it. Must go, no. Sorry, must go, might go, no go. Forget about it. Where would you put this
All
one?
right, well, it's definitely not the bottom two.
Fair enough.
Um,
That's good.
I was thinking about this on the car ride on the way back, like really hard, and I would probably put it somewhere between Must Go and Might Go.
Okay, so it's
But
not like you don't think it's an A+ movie, but it's probably more like a
and
B, B minus.
it's probably because I don't I didn't have much context about this movie. Obviously, because there's a show about this. That might be why. But yeah, it's definitely not like the greatest movie I've seen. But it's also not like that bad that I'd put it in like no go or forget about it. Like it's definitely a movie that I would go and watch again after watching the show.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I understand where you're coming from. Having not seen the show, like I understand where you're coming from
But
on
I
this.
mean, I did the one of the things I did appreciate from the movie was that it was in New Jersey, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, did that aspect ring true to you? Do you think that they did a good job setting it
Oh yeah,
there? And because I
oh
know
yeah,
that was
100%.
important
Yeah,
to you, and that's one of the
I
main
mean,
reasons you want to
I
watch it.
I recognize some of the spots that they filmed in, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man, 100%, 100%. So yeah, guys, listen, man, I can't wait to watch this movie. I'm gonna try to put up my own review of it. Too, having seen The Sopranos, I'll try to include Jose in that one so we could talk spoiler heavy. I haven't told him about that yet, but I'm going to try to include you in
Hey,
the
let's go,
spoiler review if that's
let's
okay with
go.
you. If you're down, we'll
I'm
work on it
so down. I'm so down.
because I want to talk to you about a lot of the spoiler heavy themes and stuff. But once we get
Same.
around to it,
I want to like with you right now, but I can't.
I know. Wait till I see it. It's coming out on HBO Max on Friday, so I'll be able to watch it
Nice,
there.
nice,
So
nice, nice. Bet.
yeah, exactly. So once I get into it, dude, we'll talk about the spoiler heavy themes together.
And I'll try to watch as much of the show as possible by then.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I think that pilot episode of Sopranos is one of the best pilots I've ever seen. I don't want to cut this podcast short, but we are going to today, seeing as how we didn't have Sammy on today, and next week we'll get into news and all that cool shit. So, yeah, guys, this is the non-spoiler, sort of non-spoiler review. Uh, Many Saints of Newark. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If a lot of you guys are Sopranos fans out there, I'm sure you enjoyed this a lot. We're gonna cut the show extra short today, but that was really the whole point of this was Many Saints of Newark, and I'm geeking out already, man. Thank you, Jose, for seeing this too, because some of the things you told me make me really geek out. Some of the things you told me also disappointed me a little bit, but that's okay because I got to make my own judgment and my own terms. And dude, listen, everybody has their own opinions on movies.
Exactly.
And that's the point of what I'm trying to do here is let's all grab our own opinions. So, dude, I'm glad you liked it at all, though. You know, this is a movie you liked, right? Like you didn't
Yeah,
hate this
of course.
film.
Oh no, no,
You
yeah, of course.
liked
Like I
the
said,
movie.
it wasn't like an A+ movie. It wasn't one of my favorite films, but I didn't hate it
Sure.
either. It was a good movie. I enjoyed myself with it. And no, yeah, I genuinely enjoyed myself with this movie. I'm glad that I went to go watch it.
Sure.
Um, so yeah,
100%. And one of the things you said, right, is like it had pacing issues for you personally, right?
yeah. For
I,
me personally, yeah. You might not have any pacing issues, but personally, I did. Yeah.
yeah, fair enough, man. Even as opposed to Goodfellas, wow. So that's surprising, but cool. At the same time,
It might
I'm
also
very honest about that.
it might also be because of the year that the Goodfellas came out. Opposed to the year that this has come out, I wouldn't expect really any pacing issues with a movie released in this year, as opposed to a movie like Goodfellas that came out,
Yeah.
that many years ago. I would expect pacing issues because technology and all that as wasn't as advanced then as it is now. So
So
you know,
more of a compliment to Goodfellas, if anything.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited that you sat here and talked to me about this one. I was really
I'm
excited.
glad you had me here to talk about it and that you sent me to watch this movie because I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, dude, can't wait to get this up on the channel. And guys, if you have seen Many Saints of Newark, let us know what you thought about it. Are you guys massive Sopranos fans? Are you not? Let us know. I'm super excited to hear your opinions. But please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit that bell for notifications, and do all that. Thank Jose, thank you again, man. And where can
Of
people
course.
find
Thank
you?
you for having me.
No problem.
It's on the screen. My socials, all of them are type one Latino all lowercase all together, and on stereo the same type one Latino all lowercase all together.
Hell yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Dom underscore Martino underscore and on Instagram Dom underscore Martino underscore official. Please follow the pages at Anorak official on Twitter and at Anorak official on Instagram. And we are now on Spotify. So make sure you go check out the podcast over there. And I thank everybody for joining today.
And we also have episodes every Sunday on stereo, Star Wars
Yes,
Sundays.
Star Wars Sunday. We're going to be
We've
doing Last
got,
Jedi.
yep, we got Last Jedi this week, so I'm super excited for that to get into that deep dive review.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for that and for tuning in, and follow us over there on stereo at Don Martino at are you Jose Espinel? Are you
No. The same type one Latino all
with type on
lowercase.
Latino? Okay, cool. So make sure you follow his tags over there as well. So thank you guys so much for joining again. And this has been another episode of the Anorak Entertainment Podcast. Sorry we had to cut it short today, but I've been Don Martino, and thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.